Okay, Brett. So I've got an idea for a film, and I want you to play the lead character. His name is Dr. Brett Climo.
Another Brett.
He's a brilliant scientist.
What does he specialise in?
He just does science.
It's vague enough. I like it.
So Brett has a home lab. That's where we meet his wife. Her name is Renee. She looks after everything in Brett's life. She cleans the house, she cooks for him, she feeds him, she bathes him. Renee is sick of it. She breaks up with him. She says, "I'm sick of taking care of you. All you care about is your stupid science." Before you can love anybody else, you need to learn to love yourself. It's over.
The marriage.
That night, Brett gets super drunk. He says, "I'm going to do some science to take my mind off this." There's like a sort of montage of flashing lights and sparks and stuff, and we can see blueprints for a cloning machine. Brett's created it. He's like, "I'm going to test this thing out right now." So he goes over to the terminal, he's like, and then we hear a sort of robot voice saying, "Please enter pod A." Brett opens up the pod, gets in. Cloning process is continuing to happen. Cloning process complete. Brett steps out and pod B opens up on its own. Out steps a completely naked Brett Climo.
Tom.
Brett's like, "Holy shit." Picks up the phone, phones his wife. He's like, "You need to see this." The wife arrives. She looks over into the corner and there's this Climo clone sitting there.
Climo clone.
And she's like, "You've done it. You figured out the secret." And he's like, "It's fucking horrible. It's ugly." And she's like, "Brett, it looks just like you."
Yeah.
It can't speak. Its body isn't working properly. It can barely move. She says to him, "You've created this life. It's incredible." And he says, "No, this is bullshit." She sort of looks around the house, sees that it's all trashed and it's a mess. And she's like, "You're still exactly the same, Brett. I'm out. I'm going." He's like, "I reject you, the clone." He's looking at the clone now. He takes the clone out and like just sort of throws it in the dump. We cut to the next scene. It's a week later. Renee's on a date with Brett's biggest rival, who's a hotshot scientist. Things are going well. She's sort of laughing and touching his arm and, "You're so funny." And in bursts Brett Climo, totally drunk, swaying around into the bar. Renee's like, "Oh my God, I've got to get out of here. I don't want him to see us here together." And Brett's just like stumbling around, knocking beer out of people's hand. And this bouncer comes and grabs him. The hotshot starts feeling bad. He's like, "All right, look, he's with me. He's like, "Brett, what's going on?" Brett's like, The hotshot scientist is like, come back to my lab. Sleep it off. I'll do a few tests on him, some science, just to make sure he's going to be okay. Through his tests, he realizes that this isn't Brett. This is the clone. At that moment, the doorbell rings. It's Renee. And she's like, "I didn't really think that date ended well. I didn't really feel like it was over. We were getting along so well. There's probably more to this date." He's like, "Oh shit, the clone is here." He's like, "Hang on one second. I need to go make a phone call. You go and you just get ready. Prepare yourself." Or, whatever. You know what I mean? He makes this phone call and he says, "I figured out the key to cloning and I'm going to make a clone army." And she overhears this and she realizes that it's a Climo clone and she gets out of there. She goes back to Brett's house and is like, "Hotshot scientist has got the clone. He's going to turn it into a clone army. We've got to go over there and we've got to stop him." Brett's like, "Okay, let's do this." The two of them arrive. Brett steps into the room and he says, "You need to stop making this clone army right now. I'm going to destroy everything you've done here." And the hotshot's like, "Yeah, try." Brett and the Climo clone face off. They're punching each other. Left hand punch from Brett, right hand block from the Climo clone. They are matched equally. Brett realizes, "I'm not going to be able to defeat this thing with violence." Without any other option, he turns to love. He realizes, "I need to love this thing to defeat it." So Brett says, "I'm sorry. I should never have rejected you. You are beautiful. And above all else, I love you." They kiss on the lips hard. Things start to get a bit hot and heavy. He fucking loves himself right now.
I won't take this personally.
This is a movie, Brett. This isn't real life.
It could have been pitched to anybody.
Brett and the Climo clone, they decide, we can beat this guy together. They both take on the hotshot scientist. They beat him to an absolute pulp. The hotshot scientist is on the ground, bleeding and bloody, and his dying words are, "I was going to use the clone army to cure cancer." And he dies. Renee's there. She comes up to Brett. "You did it. You've learnt your lesson. You've learnt to love yourself. Now we can be together." And Brett is like, you're right, Renee, I do love myself now, and I have you to thank for that. But you're wrong about one thing. We can't be together because I'm going to be with him now. So they sort of, ride off into the sunset. Renee's there on her own, just sort of breaking down and crying. We see the shot of a dead scientist that was going to cure cancer, and cut to black and the credits roll. And that's how we end The Clone Man.
Clone Man. That's, for somebody else it might be brilliant, but for me,
Yeah, that's good writing.
Boo!